You guys might know him from his early days on Passions, or his current time on Days.
That's right.
I met him on a boat.
You met him on the cruise?
I met him on a boat.
Oh,
yeah, we had some good times on boats.
Yeah, well, there's not going to be any boats anytime soon, buddy.
No.
So that's why we got him on the podcast now.
All right, we got Galen Gering here. Hey, man.
Galen, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what is up, people? Wow, you're like the first people I've seen in months.
Lucky you.
Live.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
I mean, for you to get Steve Burton as one of the first people you see in months, I mean, that's pretty good.
I don't
Unreal. And you look amazing. What's going on over there?
Yeah, a fair amount of people that we talk to have had modeling experience, and I've never been able to relate to them. And this is maybe one of the first times that I'm like, glad that boat passed me by.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got a million of these. Like, it's so funny too, because I got one friend who like will be somewhere and I'll like say something, whatever, in a language or some sort of cultural reference that is just a result of having spent so much time in Europe, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, because you were a model." And I'm like, so he doesn't know any of these stories, and I have so many of them that were just like insanely torturous. And looking back, like obviously mildly entertaining too. I mean,
well, in character building, I mean,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I certainly prepared you for a life of telling somewhat extraordinary stories in television series.
Correct.
And if anybody has told extraordinary stories, it's Galen.
Right.
On daytime shows, that's for sure. So how do we make the transition from modeling to acting? Where'd that come in?
And cut to like next year, I was enrolled in University of Miami, studying film. Like not as an actor, studying writing,
as a
filmmaking,
filmmaker.
production. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then of course, the day that I graduate, I walk off the stage and started shooting Passions the next day. So
how does that happen?
You got cast in Florida for Passions?
Yeah. So
were they looking in Florida, or did you fly up to New York?
Yeah, they were looking everywhere. I mean, I don't want to say it was an international manhunt, but it was certainly like they were doing a nationwide talent search
for your character specifically.
Yes, just a lot. I mean, we were there every day, basically 50 weeks a year. You could really get like 2, maybe 3 weeks vacation a year. And, 12, 14-hour days. It was just long, arduous, tons of dialogue.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, insane setups, and dive tanks and stuff dumped on your head, and, being tortured by an orangutan that was, pinching the hell out of you and regurgitating in your face constantly. Stuff like that,
Oh, man.
Not your normal days work. So, but yeah, I was there most of the time. And
how did it feel for you, having been pulled and jumped around, and for to have that kind of stability? And did you, and knowing maybe not just job security, but life security, and maybe you started to build some roots with the lady, and like that must have been an interesting time for you to transition into something that was going to last.
Sure. I mean, look, no one, excuse me, like, I don't think if you interviewed anyone that they would say they thought that show was going to be on for 10 years.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, it really built a following, and honestly, like, I think to a certain degree, like, it could have been on more years, but there were some issues. And then, Jeff Zucker had the Today Show and wanted to add, the fourth hour to make another, $50 million, whatever it was. But,
right.
But I was surprised. The point being, like, I was really surprised to see that longevity on the one hand. And to answer your question, definitely it was a major contrast to not be traveling as much. I mean, I had been at the university for the last few years, and so I'd really locked that down. The other thing that I didn't even mention too was that after I had bought that place in Miami Beach, I started buying houses and flipping houses there also. So I was doing all these things concurrently. There are incredible houses that they built there in the 20s through 50s, Spanish architecture, Mediterranean, Art Deco, that had been just basically like left and untouched for where it was on a beach with like really
Wow.
great bones. Like you don't see that. I mean, you certainly don't see that in California,
No,
at least
certainly
not in LA.
No.
So it's like you could actually afford to get in the game and finance a house and flip a house and make money. So I was doing that also, and that was also something that I always loved doing. I mean, still to this day, I love architectural design and landscape design. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I remember seeing in that short-lived reality show your house, and it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
What?
Yeah, it's gone. Oh, I don't know.
The
I'm in a
house
different
or
house
the?
now, but
Oh, you are okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so that unexpected longevity, when
Yeah.
that did finally come to an end, there wasn't much. Did NBC kind of just keep you, or was there ever a moment of what's the next job going to be, or did you know that NBC was going to keep you?
So I actually love this story.
Lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I hate it. It's another like story that like, look, the only thing that's like funny about it is the tragedy of it all, right? So like looking back, it's like that's what makes it funny is so I had bought this house in Santa Monica, and we decided that we were going to really just like basically it was an old 20s Spanish house, and we were basically going to add to it. We we're going to have a second story and just like we're just going to do it right. It was going to be great. All like imported European tile and hand painted stuff, and just like a friend of mine who I had met was an architect, and he designed this beautiful house. And so we set about building this house, and that was about 2006. And I was living in a house in Hollywood at the time. So several things happened. The market, first of all, everyone was building at that time. The economy was great. And then China was building the Yangtze Dam, which was using this insane amount of concrete. So the price of concrete went up. And so when the guy came, when I had dug the footings at the house and decided I needed to double the amount of concrete, that doubled and then quadrupled my price. And then when they found that there was asbestos in the original house, and then they could only take it off in like 25-pound bags, the whole house, and they took it down. And then my wife got pregnant, and then the show I was on, Passions, canceled. And then the guy fell off my roof and almost died. And then my contractors were embezzling all this money and not paying my subs. And I had like 5 liens on my house, and they had embezzled like $500,000 of money that I had paid them to pay the contractors for me. All this happened, right? It was like all coming, like caving down. And then Passions went off the air. So, and I couldn't get my certificate of occupancy because I couldn't pay to finish building this house, and the market had crashed, and it was just like insanity. And I had to fire the builders. Obviously, I ended up suing them, but then they declared bankruptcy. So I was like, it was just like the perfect storm of nightmares.
Oh man.
Yeah. So like, I really needed a job, to like.
Yeah.
It was insane. So. So Passions canceled, and then I get this call from Days, and they want me to come in and read, and I was like, all right. But like, my manager was like, well, he was the lead-in for your show, on the same network for nearly a decade. Like,
right. You guys probably know his work.
Yeah.
Does he really need to read?
Yeah. Can't we? You want him to just meet and then like figure out like you're gonna offer him the job, or no, we want to just see, And so I remember my manager was like, no, you're not going in, whatever.
Galen doesn't read.
Yeah, you're not gonna read. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, dude, I'm reading.
I'll read.
At least I'm gonna give myself the opportunity to go blow it, but I'm not like gonna like just. I have to be in control of this situation. This was a moment. This was like a big moment in my life. And, my wife to this point, she's like, I don't know how you did it. Like there was so much pressure knowing everything that was happening in our lives.
A complete reversal from your Passions audition where you're like, I don't need this. You really needed it.
Totally. I was like, and I really needed them to just offer me the job based on what I thought I had done, which was proven myself for 10 years. I mean, ostensibly I was a main part of that show for a decade. No, nothing. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. All right, so I guess I'm coming in. So so I go in, right? I get the sides and I go in, and it's probably like a 5-pager with some good chunks in it, And I'm just like, all right, I got this, whatever. It's like no big. And so I go into the studio. I remember the day, and so I was testing with Allie Sweeney, and I go in, and everyone's in the studio, and then all of a sudden everyone's just gone. And so they had taken a 5, but like I just hadn't noticed. And so then I was just like sitting there, and there was no one around. And then I started to get super nervous. I was like freaking out,
Like Ashton Kutcher's got to come around and be like, "Punked, there is no job."
Yeah, like could have been anything. Or I was just alone with my thoughts, and I just, it was kind of bugging me out. And then I remember looking up on the wall as we were testing in the DeMira mansion, and there was a picture of Joe Mascolo who's like Stefano, and he's like, it's this kind of like overdone portrait, and he's up there on the wall, his rings and his hello, and I was like looking at that, and I was like, all right, I'm good. I got this. Okay, this is fine. Like it was that picture. I was like, okay, I can do this. It's like, if I can't handle this, then what? So we did it, and they offered me the job. But funny story, when they offered me the job, I was in my car, which I remember was a Prius at the time. And
so progressive, ahead of the times. Well done.
Yeah. And I see that, because I was living in Santa Monica and I was having to commute back and forth.
Yeah.
It was kind of, it was a lot of driving. So I was like, all right.
Hybrids make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Gardner's outside my window. There's someone out there. Someone's breaking in.
Cool.
Take it. And so I see Gary Tomlin on the caller ID comes up, and I'm like, oh, I know. So he was the executive producer. I had worked with him. He was a director at, it might not even have come up, but I answer the phone, and it's on speakerphone. I remember I was in West Hollywood, and I stopped the car. I pulled over because I was like, oh, I need to know what the heck's going on here. So I pull over, and he's like, hey, Galen, it's Gary. I just want to congratulate you on you're going to be playing the role of Rafael Sanchez. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like Dirty Sanchez. I don't even know why I said that. And,
don't Google that, anybody.
Yeah. And he goes, what? And I go, nothing. Nothing. I don't even know. Someone yelled. He goes, no. What? He was a very stern guy, No. What did you say? And I said, like Dirty Sanchez. And he goes, what is that? And then now I'm not excited. It's a
oh God.
It's and my mind is I'm just like, oh my God, I worked this hard to get this job, to get me on a thing, and now I've just flushed it all down the toilet because I'm saying something so stupid, right? What is wrong with you? Like, you're such an idiot. Like, I can already see Jenna going, you said what? What? Oh my God, you had it. You freaking had it, you idiot.
Oh my God.
So I go, like, Dirty Sanchez? And he goes, I said, I never. He goes, I'll call you right back. And he hangs up.
No!
Doesn't he? So now I'm just sitting there, and it's like, whatever, the phone, and I'm just like, it's one of those like crazy surreal moments where, people are walking by outside the car, and I'm just in utter silence. It's just like, what did I just do?
Just like a cold sweat, like,
oh,
totally. Beyond. So now I'm just sitting there thinking of what I'm going to tell my wife, how I didn't get it, because Gary obviously never called. And an eternity's going by. I mean, I feel like the sun went down, and then went up and down, and there's like 22 tickets on my dashboard and the whole thing, But the phone rings again like 5 minutes later. And he goes, all right, you're playing the role of Rafael Hernandez, so I'll see you Monday.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Listen, and I know
you-
because Gary directs at GH now,
yeah.
Yeah.
and so I know exactly. And he's he's a straight laced
Mhm.
guy, and he's it takes a lot to make him laugh.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there'll
So
be
getting
times
that
when you
call
think
from
for
him,
sure, like you've got
Oh,
the
man.
joke to make him laugh, and he just stares
Oh.
into you, and he looks so deep into your soul, and you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
Oh man.
yeah,
that's
he's
so funny, dude.
he's a
Wow.
rad dude, and he's so
Yeah, he's
like,
awesome.
he's just yeah.
So
So
you-
yeah.
that's correct. That was what 2000 what
8?
Is it 8?
Yeah, like
Was it
10
8?
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when like Aaron Hernandez goes and kills a couple people, like a
All
good
right.
like
Yeah.
couple
As a
months
Patriots
later,
fan,
I don't know,
I
it's like-
remember that.
Well,
I
the
certainly
last
remember that.
thing you wanted was Patch calling you Dirty Sanchez. So so 'cause-
I mean, I just of all people too to like I knew Gary. I worked with Gary. I mean, and so he had directed at Passions. In fact, Gary, to his credit, was a huge part. A huge part. I mean, thank God for Gary in so many ways. He was a huge part at basically restructuring Passions so as to stay on the air. They cut like 40% of the budget overnight and produced the same show.
yeah.
And he was a huge
Wow.
part of that. And so, he subsequently took that similar structure to Days
Mhm.
and formulated it there. So,
That's cool.
so
That's
but
a
I
useful
knew,
skill.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I
It's
knew,
doing
like-
more with less.
Not to do that of all people to Gary Tomlin. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yes.
It's not funny to him,
No, it's not.
No.
Not a
Wow.
lot is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were there.
So-
So you were there for 10 years off and on. Is that
Where Days?
or straight through?
No, I was. Yeah, I mean, yeah, was
10
there
ye-
pretty much the whole time.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. That's 2 great runs. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the door's open for me to go back there.
Yeah.
We'll see. Obviously, I don't think anyone could have foreseen the trying times that we have now with regards to work. Holy mackerel, what a trip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows when we're going back. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't figured that out yet. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in having these 2 long runs, is there anything else in your life that you search for? Like now that you're an actor now, so you're a creative person. Is there anything that you do, once you establish yourself on these long runs, is there any other thing that you have in your life that helps you fulfill some creative desires, or is it other things? Obviously,
That's a really
you
good
like
question.
architecture. Is it architecture? Is it what are the other things that you have passion for?
Yeah,
For lack of a
definitely.
better word.
And I certainly would have said it was like screenwriting because that's what I want to do. But like here I am, like I should have amassed at least 20 good scripts by now. But I have 20 good ideas. You know what I mean?
Right.
right.
So, but I do love. I mean, certainly the housing and like renovating, designing the houses has been a big part of that.
That's awesome.
And I do love the filmmaking business. It's just the thing with the house is, to a certain degree, is like you're really in control of it. I mean, with writing, you're totally in control of like creating this product, but getting it from the paper to a finished product, like, poof, that's a lot,
Yeah.
It is.
But with the houses, it's a little more instant, and I think that I really like that. A, I'm good at it, and B, like, in my humble opinion, but B, like, you can do it in a semi-timely fashion. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's been good for me. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. There's the gratification, the satisfaction of having created something. And yeah, it's so funny. For a lot of the people we talk to, a lot of people have different outlets for those kind of things. And,
sure.
and so you can always kind of see the link between whatever it is, if it's a direct thing like music or whatever, like you could, but seeing it in a hobby, like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, hey man, it's so great to catch up with you.
Yeah, dude.
And,
thanks so much for taking the time out with us. We appreciate it.
man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And we
So
certainly
fun.
wish you all the best in this age of quarantine and uncertainty. And,
I mean, I just obviously want to wish you guys all the best too, and then for everyone out there, I know it's a really difficult times. And I know I was just thinking, like, I just heard some quote of someone saying, of course I'm going to botch the whole quote, but basically, like, these are hard times and it's okay to feel weird and down and that. Like, I think that we just have to give ourselves the freedom to let whatever comes across us in these moments, like, happen, and not judge ourselves too much, because I know that, it's certainly, like, I've been feeling weird about all this, you know what I'm saying? So I hope that everyone out there who's watching this too can be to a certain degree of peace, and hopefully help